Great. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Let's get started. Welcome all to another in our ongoing series of webinars that we do here at SOS Online Backup. My name's Ken Shaw. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of SOS, and as I said, we do these webinars sporadically, often every week, but sometimes every 2 weeks. And the audience for today's webinar is either existing partners of SOS Online Backup or people considering becoming a partner of SOS. In the webinar structure, just in terms of some housekeeping information, it'll be about a 30-minute presentation followed by Q&A. One of the things I would ask, though, right at the outset is that we want to try and make these sessions as dynamic and interactive as possible. Because we've got a lot of people on the line, we can't open the audio channel up for everyone, but we would ask that you all start using the questions tool within GoToWebinar right away and list out, firstly, topics you would like to have covered in either this webinar or future webinars. Secondly, questions you want answered. We'll, during the 30-minute presentation, I think a lot of those topics will be addressed, but I'll try and adapt the content to what the audience wants to hear about. And then in the Q&A section of the webinar, we'll deal with any other questions. So please feel free to ask any question on any topic, and you can start asking them right now, and we'll work it in. And also, if you've got suggestions for future content or topics you'd like to see addressed in future webinars, that would be terrific. Great. We've got a couple of people already providing some suggestions and some questions. In terms of the structure and the agenda for the webinar, it'll be a brief history of SOS and who we are. We'll then turn to look at the backup industry as it has existed in traditional backup technology solutions. We'll then turn to cloud-based backup and software as a service, which the backup industry is very quickly moving to. We'll then look at the SOS partner model and how you can get on board with SOS and become a partner and start selling online backup under your brand to your customers. And then we'll turn to the Q&A. In terms of the intended audience for today's presentation, it's mainly aimed at IT resellers, so MSPs, VARs, break-fix shops, computer repair businesses, anybody who's in the business of selling products and services in the IT space. And then at the end, we'll do the Q&A. So we've already got a couple of questions here. Tracy Casimir Cree, I apologize if I've mispronounced that, wants us to talk about Mac, and I will address that, Tracy. Chris Wilson wants me to talk about SOX and HIPAA compliance, and Chris will definitely be covering that during the presentation. We've also got a Kindle giveaway that we do with these webinars. So at the end of the webinar, at roughly the 30-minute mark, we'll be providing the details on the promotion code you need to go in the running for the Kindle giveaway, and that's a terrific promotion. I think we've given away 20 Kindles this year. So stick around to get those details as well. Without further ado, I think we'll dive in. So we'll start briefly just by talking about who SOS is, for those of you who aren't particularly familiar with us. We're a single-purpose company. We were founded nearly 10 years ago in 2001 in Australia to focus on what was then very much a burgeoning market, the online backup space. Been around a very long time, focused in this space, and are well regarded as an industry leader and thought leader in the space. We've grown significantly over those years. We continue to win many awards. We've been PC Magazine Editor's Choice Award winner for online backup since 2006, for example. And what we really focus on doing is providing online backup as a platform. And that platform is designed for resellers and our technology partners to leverage, for our partners to then build their own online backup businesses selling to their customers. We're now a global firm. We've got 10 data centers around the world with 4 major offices in Australia, here in the United States, and then also in India and in Europe. More than 200 employees worldwide, more than 3 million customer accounts on our grid. So by any of those metrics, we're one of the largest online backup companies in the market. And I say all of that merely by way of addressing questions that some people might have. There are a lot of online backup startups who perhaps are in shaky positions. We're not that. We're a very well-established company. We've been doing this a very long time, and we're certainly one of the industry leaders in this space. This last bullet point that we've been growing so rapidly is not really a point about us, although we're very proud of it. It's more a point about the success that our partners have. Because 80% of our revenue comes from our partner network, we only succeed as a company if our partners are succeeding in the online backup space. So the fact that we've been growing so rapidly, I think, is far more a comment on the success our partners are having in the online backup space. All right, moving on. So if we turn and look at SOS's position in the market, we've always focused on being a technology company designed for small business users. And what I mean by that is that although we go to market mainly through the channel and mainly through our technology partners, our product is very much designed for small business usage. Businesses in the 5 to 100 or 150 seat type category, which is the majority of businesses in North America. We've got a consumer and home user solution. We've got enterprise solutions as well for larger customers. So if your customers are in the consumer space, we've got you covered. Similarly, if your customers are in the enterprise space, we've got you covered. But what our real focus is and our real sweet spot is the small and micro business market, which is by far the biggest opportunity in the online backup space today. And this slide really depicts what we do. It's a relatively simplified version of what we do, but what we're about is taking our technology and our knowledge and our best practices and systems, as depicted on the left-hand side, running that through a filter that then enables us to take all of our different sales and marketing and technology and infrastructure solutions, wrap them up in packages that your business can use, and come up with offers that make sense for your customers and your industry segments, so that you can then drive incremental revenue, which is high margin and on a recurring revenue base from offering backup as a managed service. Mark Senio has asked, are there any costs for branding? And Mark, I'm going to get to that in a few slides' time. So on the screen here, actually a good segue from Mark is some examples of the type of rebranding that we do here at SOS. So on the bottom left, you can see some SOS branded material, but then going across to the right, we've got a rebranded product brochure for a customer, and then some examples of our software reskinned for various customers. So imagine your logo and your business and branding there, and that's exactly the business that SOS is in. We're a platform provider, and we're here to enable you to get into the online backup market rapidly and profitably. So let's look briefly at the incumbent technology solutions, because when we talk to new partners, one of the biggest things that new partners actually are facing in the online backup space is that generally when you're selling to small businesses, when you're selling backup to small businesses, you won't be displacing another online backup vendor. You're going to be displacing another technology. So online backup still is being used in less than 10% of the small business space. So by far, the majority of the market is still on one of disk or tape as their backup mechanism. But it varies depending upon the market segment that you're going after. So let's look at that briefly. Consumers in general, there isn't much of a standard embedded in the consumer computing space for backup. Where consumers are backing up, they're not doing it regularly, and it's usually a joint software hardware solution, often a USB flash memory drive or an external hard disk drive. Very rarely are they using offsite backup. So there's a big opportunity in that space to sell set and forget software as a service that allows them to back up offsite automatically. In the small business space, on the other hand, backups are nearly always in place, and those backups are traditionally based around what we call centrally architected hardware-based backup solutions, and that's just a fancy way of saying tape or disk, really. But it's still a tripartite approach to backup. So there's a hardware component, a software component, and a labor component, and all three have hard and soft costs which need to be analyzed that generally mean that the backup solutions in place in most businesses in America provide insufficient level of service and are very costly to run. I want to dwell on that labor point for just a moment. One of the most underanalyzed cost areas of traditional backup solutions is the labor cost associated with running them. So the labor involved in setting them up, checking the configuration, running the backups every day, rotating the tape media, taking the tape media off site, verifying the recoverability of media, et cetera, et cetera. There are some studies that show that that labor cost can be as much as 100% of the hard costs associated with buying the hardware and software associated with the solution. And we're going to look at a specific economic example in a couple of slides' time. And then moving into the enterprise space, same overall philosophical architecture, hardware, software, labor, but then often we'll see a separate services component to that solution which will be associated with the deployment. So when we participate in large enterprise deals or work with a partner who's got an enterprise deal, there'll often be, say, $20,000, $30,000 allocated for the design and initial deployment, then perhaps $50,000 to $100,000 allocated for hardware and software, and then there's the cost associated with running that solution throughout its lifetime. Contrast that with what we're going to do you are going to do in partnership with SOS. We're going to take Eric Hapala's, and we're going to build Eric Hapala Online Backup, or Mark Seniow or Chris Wilson, just picking on some audience members. We're going to take all of those same elements of software, hardware, services, and support, and we're going to put them in the cloud and deliver it to your customers as a fully branded software as a service solution. Just looking at some of the, as we turn to look at the massive growth in online backup, we can see a parallel decline in the sale of tape and disk-based backup solutions. So, for example, this study from the Santa Clara Group has shown a drop in tape backup technology sales from 2.3 billion 2 years ago down to 1.6 billion last year. If that trend continues to decline, we're going to see tape recede to being just a legacy platform technology over the next 5 years. And then similarly, this particular survey from CTO Edge magazine shows that of all the CTOs surveyed, 71% have said that they're going to increase their use of cloud-based backup, either moving completely to the cloud or partly to the cloud. And that then begs a question that I want to pose to everyone in the audience today, and this is really the question that I'd love you to answer, and I'd love comments, and perhaps if we can have a discussion around it, is if you're not going to sell online backup to your customers, somebody else is going to, so why not you? It's easy to get in. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes' time. So just repeating that comment. If you don't sell online backup to your customers, somebody else is going to, so why not you? And we all know the problems with tape technology. We'll look at that in more detail in a minute, but I want to turn to this economic example of the cost of a hardware-based solution. I keep using the word tape. I should really use hardware-based because the same problems plague disk as plagues tape. Just got a couple of questions here that I want to answer, though. Eric Hapala asks, can we get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation at the end of the webinar? Eric, you'll get a link with a video of the webinar that you'll be able to access, and also if you call in and talk to one of our partner consultants, they can give you the PowerPoint slides themselves. It's great material for you to work with your customers. And also I'm going to show you the Partner Resource Center at the end, well, in about 10 minutes. And the Partner Resource Center is filled with material similar to what I'm using in this presentation that you can leverage to sell to your customers. Ricky Wilson says, I'm a one-man IT services company with a handful of small businesses right now as clients. What's the lowest investment I can make to start reselling SOS services? Ricky, you can get started for as low as $100 a month. So we've got a variety of partner options. That we've got some partners who pay us $1 million a year. We've got some partners who only end up paying us a few $100s a year. But we've got a very rich array of offerings, and I'd really recommend, I don't want to steal our consultants' thunder, I'd really recommend you call in and talk to one of our partner consultants, and they can get you up and running very quickly. So let's turn and look just briefly at the economic question for both you as a reseller and your customers when we're comparing traditional backup and online backup. On this slide at the top, we've got a tape backup solution that was in place for a real live customer of ours, which moved to the cloud. And just looking at these two key figures, in the middle, 6,146. This represents the total amount of money they spent to set up their original backup solution. And then 9,130 across to the right. That represents the total 5-year cost. And if you think back to what I was just saying about hardware, software, and labor, what you'll see here is that looking at these line items, this only is the hard